Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, June 16th. I'm Jon Weigell here with LinkedIn career expert Catherine Fisher, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. The job market is pretty nuts right now. Nearly 60% of people are job hunting, which means you're not just competing with the unemployed anymore, you're competing with literally everybody. Today, I'm talking with Catherine Fisher, LinkedIn's top career expert, who's going to tell us desirable skills, networking tips, and how to actually stand out when it feels like the entire world is updating their resume. We'll get to that in a little bit, but first, let's give you the news in business and tech. Starting us off, Anne Wojcicki, the co-founder and former CEO of 23andMe, will buy it and its data back for $305 million through her nonprofit TTAM Research Institute, pending approval here. Regeneron Pharmaceuticals originally won a bankruptcy auction with a $256 million bid until Wojcicki swooped in with an even higher offer to buy back her own company. Crazy stuff. Next, while some retail dies, Gap is back. The brand reported a 5% same-store sales growth for Q1 of 2025, and that's the sixth consecutive quarter of growth by that exact metric. Popular in the 80s and the 90s, as you remember, Gap is clearly on a path of resurgence in the 2020s. And talking about resurgence, you can wipe those tears up off the floor because Korean pop group sensation BTS has returned after almost a 3-year hiatus. BTS's comeback means a lot for fans, but it means even more for South Korea's GDP. BTS's return announcement spiked shares in HYBE, the group's agency, 7% in a single day. And finally here, another Florida man story made its way through the media, and this one involves airlines. A 35-year-old Florida man booked over 120 flights from 2018 to 2024 by posing to be a flight attendant while booking. He actually used to work in the airline industry, but has not for quite a while. His wings have now been clipped, it appears, and he's been convicted of wire fraud. So good luck to him. Okay, look, side hustles fail when they consume all of your time. I mean, every single bit of it. The pros, though, work smarter with AI doing all the heavy lifting. To help you out, we just dropped the Side Hustle Accelerator database. You can search your exact problem for your side hustle, grab the perfect prompt, and get results. If you're struggling with marketing, content, and customer service, it's all solved in just seconds. This isn't just another tool, guys. It's your unfair advantage in a spreadsheet. So stop asking AI the wrong questions and start scaling with what actually works. You can get it for free in the link in our show notes. And you can stop right now, actually. Why don't you take a look down at those show notes and tap the link. You don't want to sleep on this. Okay, on to the main segment today. We are joined by Catherine Fisher, LinkedIn career expert, and she's going to talk about why everybody's on the job hunt right now, some big mistakes that people are making in the job hunt right now, and how you can potentially stand out. So let's get into it. Hey, Catherine, welcome. It's great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I want to just dive right in here. Let's talk about the current job market. What are you really seeing in LinkedIn's data about hiring rates and competition compared to previous years right now? Because the sense that I'm getting is that there's a lot of competition currently.
Yes, your senses are right. It is pretty competitive out there. Our workforce confidence index, actually, we're hitting a new low. Where we're really seeing it is with Gen Z. They're feeling the least confident of workers. And what's tough is that obviously this is graduation season. So people who are graduating from college, like maybe they had an older brother or sister who graduated in 21, 22, and they were like, I could get any job I want. And now it's actually the opposite, where it's super competitive. There's a lot more people graduating and then fewer jobs. And then you have people who last year were looking for jobs who didn't find a job. So it's kind of coming at people in all different directions.
In your experience, what industries do you think are hiring more so than usual? And where are the big opportunities, if there are any?
Yeah, I love this question because it will take you by surprise. We're going back to construction, utilities, oil, gas, and mining.
The trades.
Yes, those are the industries that are really hiring. Probably not a surprise are the jobs. The number one job, obviously, is an AI engineer. I don't think that's going to surprise anyone.
Yeah.
But then also the other two ranking really high are law clerk and a data center technician. And so I think what you're going to find is that the industries where it requires, consumer spending, those are going to be harder hit. Think, entertainment, travel, et cetera. Whereas industries, like education and health, those continue to stay a little bit stronger. So I think that the advice I would give a graduate is don't be precious about the industry or job. You may not get that dream job that you were thinking you were going to get, but it's actually not about the job title that you should be looking for. It's about the experience that you're going to get. So I think shifting that mindset of it's not the company name, it's not the industry, it's not the job title, it's where do I go to get those skills so that I can have longevity in my career. This is a stepping stone. It is a marathon. This is not the rest of your life. So really kind of looking at it that way, I think is going to give you A, more options, but B, also make you more excited about the job search.
Yeah. And say they do take that step to look at something that maybe they weren't thinking about before or trying to take a step in a different direction. What are some strategies that you've seen that work for job seekers, whether it's in an industry that is hiring a lot, in an industry that is not hiring a lot? What's something that kind of has stood the test of time, if anything?
I think there is a tendency just to go apply everywhere. And the reason why you don't want to do that is you have limited time and resources. So if you're just kind of applying anywhere that your experience may not be a great match, you're taking away time from doing the jobs that you really could be getting. So applying selectively. By being selective, what I mean is, do you have those skills? Do you have the experience that they're looking for? And the first thing someone's going to say is, well, I'm just coming out of college. I don't have any experience. You actually do. Maybe in your sorority, you manage the social media channels. Those are skills that you acquired. Maybe you are a lifeguard. Well, you're delegating things. You are leading people. Stop running on the deck. So really thinking through creatively those jobs that you've had and how those can apply to skills. And the exciting thing I think about AI is that we're all starting at the same spot. AI literacy is not something that, well, for the last 20 years, I've been AI literate. That's not true. It's like, we're all growing and learning together. And so you're going to have a real advantage if you can go in and tell your story about how you've learned how to use AI, the skills that you've acquired, and then being super strategic about your job search.
A lot of that, I think, comes around to telling your story, right? And I think you've spoken on this a few times where in order to land jobs, you have to tell some sort of story. How would you approach doing that? And is that something that you broadcast only in interviews, or is that something that you broadcast other than that, outside of interviews?
Yeah. So the good news about storytelling is that there are several ways you can do it. And it doesn't just start and stop with the application. If they are asking for a cover letter, never, ever miss the opportunity to do a cover letter. And the reason why I say this is because it's another opportunity to tell your story. It's how you're showing up on LinkedIn. It's in your profile. It's how you're showing up on platform. Like, storytelling is not just like you have one shot in the interview to tell your story and that's it. It's a combination of different factors that really show how you've applied your experience and delivered impact. So I think getting used to that, I would say, if you're preparing for an interview, it can get kind of awkward when you're talking about yourself and, what you've learned. This is the time to reach out to your network and ask for someone to role play with you. It is really important, taking those extra steps to prepare for the interview so that when you are telling your story, it's really coming through as to what's going to make you kind of head and shoulders above another candidate. Because the thing that you want to remember is that if you are in the interviewing phase, they are interviewing you because they think you can do the job. Right. What they're really looking for is what sets you apart from the other candidates. And the only way to do that is to be a great storyteller.
Right. So for those professionals who are looking for jobs right now, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make in their job search? You mentioned just mass applying to positions, but is there anything else on LinkedIn as well specifically that you see people do that hurt them more than help them?
I would say not doing some things can hurt you. The most practical advice I can give is if you have an idea of the type of roles that you're interested in, and you see that there are companies hiring for those roles, just look at the job description. Take a look, see what are the skills that they're looking for, what's the experience that they're looking for, and just do a match in terms of these are the skills they're looking for. And then on LinkedIn, you can actually go into the job and it'll just tell you how likely it is, what skills do you need that you don't have. And what that does oftentimes is make the person realize, wait, I do have those skills. It's just that they're not on my profile. And so you just want to make sure you're using all the levers that are available to you to get the attention of that recruiter or hiring manager. And then also just not being prepared in terms of showing your enthusiasm for the role. Now is not the time to play coy. In a really competitive job market, they're going to want to hire someone who wants the job.
Right.
And what I don't mean is you don't have to be jumping up and down and using exclamation points for everything. But part of showing excitement for the role is really understanding what the role is, what the company does. Did they just land a big new client? These are easy things to figure out. So coming in super prepared and showing enthusiasm for why you want that job and what you're looking to learn from it.
Yeah, research is important, right?
Yeah.
You have to do your research. You have to be prepared. You mentioned AI earlier. I definitely wanted to pick more on that a little bit because AI literacy, as you mentioned, is kind of one of the biggest skills you could have right now. You said there's a lot of people hiring AI just in general, AI engineers. It's named on Skills on the Rise in 2025, LinkedIn's report on that. Can you walk us through about balancing your AI knowledge while selling your more human side of your skills?
Great question. Yes. And, also when we talk about AI literacy, this is not just engineering. You could be in marketing and have great AI literacy skills, and that would make you super competitive. I think that what companies are looking for, though, is the combination of the skills. And this is why, yes, you have AI literacy, but you also have communications as one of those top skills that companies are looking for. Because, at the end of the day, yes, you may know how to use all the tools and be much more efficient in your work and bring greater impact. But if you can't bring people along, if you can't communicate how you're doing something, then it only goes so far. So it's really the combination of those skills. That's what brings the magic.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Last thing I wanted to talk to you about is just generally networking, because networking advice to me often feels quite generic. Just get out there and meet people, like go to events, do stuff. What does effective professional relationship building look like this year, especially for people who find traditional networking a bit awkward or inauthentic? What would you say to those people and what would you recommend?
Yeah, I think there's a perception that when we talk about the importance of networking, people think, oh my gosh, I have to go on like 5 coffee dates a week and take someone out to dinner every other week. And oh my gosh, that's so much work. That's part of it, but absolutely not at that volume. Maybe if you're really looking for a job and you're just trying to meet as many people as you can, again, I would say be strategic. But in terms of networking, what is most effective is kind of rounding it out. And the way I liken it is that you wouldn't call a friend you haven't spoken to in 5 years and ask them for a ride to the dentist, right?
Right.
You want to be feeding and caring for these relationships along the way, but it doesn't mean, again, that you're making them dinner every Sunday night. So there are easy ways just to stay in touch. Actually just did a recent post about, when you're even just commenting on someone's post, be thoughtful in your comment. Don't just say, hey, great post, but actually why did that resonate with you?
Right.
You really want to be having a conversation. And then what this does is that if a recruiter or hiring manager is going on to LinkedIn and they're looking at your profile, they can see how you've been engaging with conversations. So it actually plays dual role here. So there's the really kind of low hanging fruit, just in terms of keeping up with people. And someone gave me one of the best pieces of advice, and this can be either work or personal in terms of networking. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I need to call this person because I'm thinking about them, but I'll call them when I have something to share. Or how about just sending them a text saying, hey, just was in line thinking about you. Hope you're well. Just those little points of connection make a big difference. If you are going to ask for help, my recommendation is to be super specific, why, and make it time bound. It's much easier to respond to a request if someone reaches out to me and says, can I have 15 minutes of your time? I have these 3 questions and this is why I'm reaching out to you. I'm much more likely to say yes to that as opposed to someone, hey, can we connect? It's been a while. I'm like,
About what?
yeah.
Right.
I may not have your answers and give me more.
Sure.
So make it easy for the person to say yes.
Mm-hmm. So giving context, nurturing the relationships you do have, creating new ones, not just when you need things,
Yes.
but just to create them. So maybe that you can help them out in the future. I think it's a give and take you're talking about as well. So yeah, a lot of good points there. I would hope that kind of networking will exist more so than just sending a random message to somebody that you barely know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Catherine, thank you so much for being with us today. It was such a blast chatting with you and
Thank you.
hope to have you back soon.
That's all.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go get signed up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at thehustledaily. We'll see you later.